making adult content. I will not do porn. I just can't. It's not for me. I look a mess. I'm sorry. Like, I have this dress shirt on as if I've actually done something today. I haven't even showered yet. Don't judge me. But yeah, no. For so many reasons. And here's the thing. Like I said before, I just can't do these things without having in the back of my mind how detrimental porn is to all of us, regardless of your sexuality, race, gender, whatever. And there's so much wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with sexual acts between adults, and healthy sexual acts between adults, right? But porn is just not that. It's not. And if you're watching this and you've been kind of battling with just like, not just like, oh, are you deciding to be a adult content creator? But here is what I've learned throughout my years, a lot of years of watching porn or, like dabbling in the porn world, as in like being a creator, right? Porn creates, and we understand this, what I'm about to say, but porn creates an unhealthy relationship with sex. We know this. It creates these expectations of how you think people look, how you should look, and how sex should be. That's one. It then creates this kind of world to where, because it feels like fantasy and it doesn't feel real in a sense, it makes you start being okay with stuff you shouldn't be okay with. So that's like, the stepmom and the stepdad and the sister and just the stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Even like forceful, like trigger words, R, the word ending with R or starting with R and ending with E, like stuff like that, becoming very, and you see how that just affects everyone day to day on how they look at sex and what they kind of expect out of their partner and their desires, and all of that. Which I think that when we are animals, and I really enjoy the primal side of us, and I never want to lose that. And so what I'm saying is that, like, when it comes to sexual, stuff, like, of course, like, have fun, and like there is a little like rawness and roughness to it, because of just who we are as humans. However, anything weird, any non-condoning, any like thing, that is coming from another place. And you have to allow yourself to be able to unpack that and it's always best to try and unpack that without shame, because it just doesn't help, right? So allow yourself. And that's with everything. I feel like people, they're so afraid to say that they're wrong, that they may have went down the wrong route or whatever, because again, we've just been taught to like, if you're wrong, you're wrong, and you should be like persecuted and like killed, and or just like very extreme things. So, anyways, you guys know I'll go on a tangent. Hey, so that's another one. And then like on a psychological realm, like humans were never even supposed to be doing like what I'm doing now and consuming technology as we have been for so long. And so when you're constantly watching these things that are, affecting your brain chemistry and your nervous system chemistry, and you're watching it for so long, it is affecting you. You didn't feel like you need to be doing this thing in order to like, your body makes you feel like you need that heightened dopamine. It's just like another drug. It really is. And you can do the research on that. And this is based off of my own experience, and again, based off of my research that I've done. So that's why I tell you guys all the time, like, my belief system is based off of what I've gone through, what I've seen in my real life in real time, and what I've seen based off of well-documented research, okay? I feel like that's what all of our belief system and ideology should be around. It should not be shame. It should not be guilt. It should not be, what someone's told us, and we have no real idea of what they're even saying or what their intention was when they were telling us. And so, yeah, it's like all of those things. We got to leave porn in 2024. And that's coming from someone who most definitely, again, I was dabbling this year. But I'm really holding myself accountable, and I am just wanting to be an advocate for that being destroyed, because it's just not helping us in any type of way. No one. It's not helping anyone. There's no positive effect that it has on you. Does it feel good in that moment? Do you like, again, because of all the chemicals that are like imbalanced, also having very unnatural responses to, what you're seeing on camera? Because again, sex is natural. It's a normal thing. So of course your body's going to have a positive reaction to that. Most of us, So again, it's not about not embracing that nature of you, but it just needs to be in a way like with an actual real person, that like you love and you care about. And even, let me be real, like I think I genuinely do believe that it's so much better when it's someone you love and care about. However, if you want to dabble and you kind of want to just like have a little moment, you should be able to do that, but it should still be in the most healthiest and safest and sanest way. When I mean sanest, I mean like no dark spirits or energies or things going on. Which I just feel like that's what porn is, a very dark place. Again, this is coming from someone who has dabbled in the porn industry more than once, and who has been watching porn since a very young age, that I'm not proud of, but that's just what it is. And again, especially like when we're talking about really everyone, but especially gay boys, this is how they're taught, like how to be gay. Like this is how they're taught how, like, what sex means and what gay sex means, because the world around them looks at that as such a like non-talkable thing, that they don't have what other people their age have, like the talk and just kind of that thing. Or even if it's like seeing it around you, it kind of like not even just sex, but like relationships around you, and then seeing it in like movies and books, and and just having this more of a more healthy aspect, which even that sometimes isn't. Like you get what I mean. And so I think that is why a lot of gay men are very hypersexual. Not because it's like they're demons and like it's the devil spirit in them. It's because they, from a really young age, have been forced this idea of what it means to be queer. Again, whether that's been from porn or it's been the family around them that has demonized queerness into being like predatory and all these things, to where it's like that same thing when they say, if you tell a person that they're like a criminal and they're all this, some will start to believe that. And when you have the whole entire world looking at queerness in this way, or whatever it is, it's easy to kind of go into that world. It's just a lot of things. Porn can make you become someone you're not, like your personality, making you feel like you have to like be this like desirable thing in order to ever feel love. Porn preys on the fact that people crave intimacy. And that's something that I've seen so much throughout, like in my experience, and just seeing like a lot of people, they just want someone who they can like be themselves with, and they can like touch and feel loved. And even though that is only one aspect of what being loved actually is, it is so force-fed to us to where we think that is like what it is entirely. Porn needs to be banned, and it needs to be wiped off the face of the planet Earth, or whatever, because it's just not doing us any good. So that's what I'm basically, I guess I ended up going into a spiel because I want to make sure that when I'm talking about my experience, I have no problem explaining it, because people need to see real human experiences to really understand why people say the things that they say. Like I can say like, oh, stop watching porn, guys, and then like, okay, but there's no like personal thing I think that a lot of people need, and just helps with you understanding things more. And like this isn't the only case. Like that's with everything, right? So that's just where I'm at right now. I am going to believe in myself that I can get out of poverty with my talents, my like talents that I am okay with sharing and I think is appropriate. Okay, but no, yeah, like I have to believe, because that's another part of it. I think that for so long I've had my own experience where I feel like at a really young age, I was kind of, it was already fed to me, all of the things that I was talking about, but it was also like fed to me, like I was always felt like an experiment. I always felt like I was basically being used sexually for a really long time. And I was okay with that because it made me feel loved, it made me feel powerful, it made me feel like all of these things, right? And I think that, you know, when I'm going through like what I'm going through and like poverty, and when like if my creativity and all that's not working, or just feeling like not believing in myself, not believing in my intelligence, not believing in just like all of that, it's like I by default go back to like, well, I mean, you could do porn, or like you could do this sexual thing, because it's like weird. It's almost feeling like I feel more confident in like that taking off and giving me the money that I want more than other things. And I think again, there's reasons for that, you know. And it's like feeling like I've had more of a positive reaction to like my body and you know, like sexual things than my art or what I have to say. And so it's kind of like by default feeling like, okay, like whenever I'm going through a hard time and like things aren't working out, my platform isn't going the way that I want it to go, no one's understanding my art or whatever, it's like, well, I still at the basis, even though I still care about those things and I'm still going to do those things, it's like I still care about taking care of myself, taking care of my mom, taking care of my sister, and like living the life that I genuinely have been dreaming about, right? So it's like that part of me, that survivalist mindset, that, you know, poverty, lacking mindset is like, well, shit, like, let's get it. Like, like, well, what we gotta do? Like, let's get to it. And so that to me is just not healthy. And you see how I'm able to do this? And it's not about shaming. It's not about, you know, it's about just being real. And I think people need to learn how to be real, okay? I also feel the need, since we're talking about it, and I remember I was just talking about how like I, at a really young age, have been kind of used sexually. I want to be clear that I didn't necessarily go through abuse, but this is what I want to tell you guys. Yes, when we're looking at like that is something that needs to be talked about as well in every community. I hate that it is just worked around like queerness, and it's like, oh, you must have been like touched as a child for you to be gay. You know, that old dumb narrative. However, I at a really young age, again, was exposed to sex, because not only was I taught this, but so many men and like boys that when I was younger and stuff were taught to like see gay men and gay boys, you know, as these like experiments and like these sexual objects to just like use and stuff. And so that's kind of like what I was going through. And I think also it was like the boys, like when I was younger and like these things were happening, I think they were also exposed to sex at really young ages in ways that just weren't, you know, healthy and weren't like teachable, and, you know, or like, you know, to where it's like you're learning things that I feel like kids do need to know for so many reasons, right? So I feel like, yeah, it's like, it's all of those things. But I also want to say, a lot of people, and I feel like I've known this for a while, but I'm seeing it more than ever. A lot of people have had more situations with, you know, having experiences with your cousins and at really young ages. And I think that is playing a part in that hypersexuality that we all end up with. And like also, you know, that kind of idea of like what sex should be. And then also why a lot of people find themselves being attracted to like the stepbrother porn and all that, because it's like triggering experiences that they've had at really young ages. And I think that again, because, and this is why I was saying that I feel like children, like at a certain age, do need to know certain things, because I feel like because they don't, this is what's happening. Like you have little kids that are hearing things in like musics and movies, and again, searching the web and all this, and sex is made to seem like this cool thing, you know, and you're even hearing your parents, you know, when you're eavesdropping, you just catch on to things that people think that because you're young, you just don't know, or, you know, can't put together. And so you become curious. You don't have anyone to really, to kind of, I think in a healthy way, be like, okay, this is what this is, and this is what you shouldn't be doing, and this is blah, 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 you know? To where, again, you're having these, and because also, at a certain age, we're all humans, and like, you know, hormones and all this start happening. And so I think it's like literally all of that playing a part, and this is what we have, situations where like, a lot of people are having experiences with their cousins at really young ages, which is just setting a foundation of unhealthy way to look at sex, okay? It's like with other family members and all these things. So that's why I was saying earlier, I keep saying like, that's what I was saying earlier, because I'm trying to, or my brain's just doing what it does, right? But when we're talking about abuse, I think that we only look at it in that way. But sometimes, again, it's like if you're like cousin that's your age or around your age, or it's a little bit older, it's like things that, you know, we've tried to somewhat normalize or at least have been quiet about because we don't want to make it awkward, or we don't want to make it seem like our cousin was like doing something to us. You know, like there's so much that goes into that I feel like we have to learn to be open and real about the human experience, which in this case is so darkened and warped into something else, the human experience that I'm talking about, because of how we go about things and how the social structure has kind of like conditioned us to look at things and all of that. So yeah, that was me explaining why I'm not going to do porn, and I'm just going to trust that I'm like, and this isn't me shaming sex workers. This is literally me not. Because like I've said in my video before, I think the last video I just posted on here, is that I've always looked at those that were like, no, like that understand their situations and we're going to get it regardless. I respect that. I see strength in that and I see resilience in that. And I do. Like that's just genuinely how I feel. Like, and not even just within our time, but throughout the world, throughout history, human history of people doing things that others may look down on, or like maybe like whatever, but did what they needed to do in order to feed their family and to have the life that they wanted to live. I will always respect that. I'm sorry. But I think like for me, the context of just like my past experience and just where I'm trying to go and what I see as like, you know, just my own perspective on things and just how it feels and all that, I just know it's not for me, okay? And even if the money would have been nice, but okay, so the money would have been nice. The money would have been nice, but I know I can get to where I want to go without doing things that I just know aren't on like my purpose, aren't part of it, okay? So, okay, that's the end of my rant, I think.